Welcome to Sunshine Cathedral's Queer God Squad. It's Friday, July 26th, 2024. I'm Reverend Dr. Darrell Watkins, the senior minister here at Sunshine Cathedral.
I am Reverend Dr. Robert Griffin, the executive minister. Faith and religion can be complicated for the LGBTQ plus community. Surveys show that evangelical faith is the justification for the greatest attacks on the LGBTQ plus community.
I am Reverend Kevin Tisdall, the Minister of Education. The Queer God Squad is going to explore our religious community. Let's explore the big news of the day and what it means to you. This is live, and then we are available on demand. If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform and social media.
At Sunshine Cathedral, we're here to tell you that you're God's miracle, not God's mistake.
This is the Sunshine Cathedral perspective. Queer faith community needs more leaders like Father Mychal Judge. In a heartfelt tribute to faith and resilience, Pagliarulo of Out Magazine shared his annual visit to Manhattan's Church of St. Francis of Assisi to honor the legacy of Father Mychal Judge. Father Mychal Judge, a gay man, Franciscan friar, and chaplain for the New York City Fire Department, is most remembered for his images of his lifeless body on September the 11th, the first recorded casualty of the attacks. However, his legacy extends far beyond that tragic day. Judge was a recovering alcoholic who faced his own demons while counseling other addicts. At the height of the AIDS crisis, he established a ministry for the afflicted and dying and marched in the first gay inclusive St. Patrick's Day parade. His bravery and compassion were most evident on 9/11 when he rushed to the Twin Towers to support first responders. This profound commitment to service resonates with many, especially in the queer community. Queer individuals have long revered figures who embody both faith and gender nonconformity, such as St. Franciscan of Assisi and Joan of Arc. His story provides the hope and inspiration that America's queer faith community seeks. Queer God Squad celebrates religious leaders who live and promote living with authenticity, compassion, and inclusivity. This story just kind of reminds me and takes me right back to that photo of Father Judge coming out, being carried by the first responders. And many articles led up to before that incident about Father Mychal Judge also, and just what his ministry meant to so many people as being, who he was. He was a pastor, not just to the fire department and the first responder, but also to New York at large. I think he became the world's pastor in some sense, to offering ministry and hope to so many. And I think what I really love about Father Mychal Judge's ministry was that we had an opportunity a couple of years ago to visit St. Assisi, St. Francis, which is a quarter which he comes from. And it was kind of a humbling experience to be there in that environment, to get a sense of what Father Mychal Judge, the community that he came out of, to be a compassionate community, a loving community, and to be really a hero that is lifted up even now to this day as what it means to be an example of compassion, to be a witness of what he was fighting his own demons, and to also say to the world, I think even today, to live humbly, walk with God, show kindness, and offer mercy to all that you encounter.
That Italy trip was amazing. I got to speak in front of the cathedral, I guess it is there in Assisi, and for our folks at home, like to preach, and then also in the catacombs in Rome. Those were amazing experiences for me. And then last year we were in Germany, and we got to go to St. Hildegard's church. I mean, a church that it was her church, and then her remains are there. So those experiences are profound. And I think that the 9/11 spot is a place like, if you've not seen the memorial, surely you have by now. But if not, get to it. It is a sacred space. And now the thing about Father Mychal, I love the spelling of his name, that the Mychal. if I were a drag performer and I wanted my name to be Michael, that's how I would spell it. I would, but if I were a full-time drag performer, but Father Mychal was heroic. I mean, he was the first verified victim of the thing, of the attack. There is another side. He was his life was sort of an open secret. Other gay Catholic leaders who were kind of on the low, they knew about it. His friends knew. He was supposedly celibate, so in the end, orientation didn't matter because he was didn't have a sex life supposedly. You have to say you don't because they'll boot you out. And so some activists, a Protestant activist and non-religious activists, actually had a bit of a problem with Father Mychal because he enjoyed the comfort and protection of the homophobic institution that they either were denied or were fighting against, whatever. So there was, he courageously threw himself into harm's way on 9/11, and apparently very compassionate with people with AIDS and Catholics who were tormented because of all the homophobia, and he would give them compassionate counsel and say they don't know everything and maybe you're okay or whatever. So what he did was important, especially in his context, but it's also important to remember that there are many sides to almost every story, and some people were actually bothered that he had all of the benefits of this grand and historic institution, that as long as he didn't go too far, he had their protection and their safety, and they were his home. Whereas other activists had to abandon all of that, or chose to abandon all that, to really be in the front and make the case about equality. I'm not saying you should be on one side or the other. I just want to point out that there are at least those two sides in his story. I do love that the comparison to him to Joan of Arc, who is sort of a trans model, certainly non-binary model. This teenage girl who leads an army of men, who wears men's clothes, and maybe that was practical, but she seemed to be very comfortable in them and prefer them. And so, is she lesbian? Is she a trans dude? Is she are they non-binary? Those are open questions. And only pretending, only fear of diversity and it would keep us from asking the questions that present themselves, like what, she's different, what's that about? And again, though, she was different within a system that sort of promoted her, but that system also turned on her. So, she is a martyr. The church did kill her for being different, they couldn't just say, well, we don't like the way you dress and you cut your hair too short and, you're kind of a tomboy. But you might be all those things because of witchcraft and we can burn a witch. So there was that. A better comparison, I guess, or with a better ending is to St. Francis, who was different enough that the people in his order would sometimes call him Mother Francis, that he allowed a woman into his cloister whom he called Brother Jacoba. And he did have a vision of the Trinity, and instead of two dudes and a bird, he envisioned it as three women. And so Francis is a clearly queer figure. And so if I were to be compared to someone, remembering my days, and the comparison was just to St. Francis, I would not feel insulted at all.
The thing I like about this story, about Father Judge, is that it shows once again that to be in service to humanity, you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have all of the answers. You just need to be able to listen to someone, hear their pain, and help them work through whatever that pain is. It's funny that I didn't realize that there were people who talked about Father Judge because he was a gay man in a very, very, very homophobic institution. He did what he could within that organization to help as many people as possible. Could he have done more? Maybe. Could he have been more out helped, maybe, but then all of the people that he helped may not have had anyone who could work them through whatever demons, quote unquote demons, that they were dealing with. So I say yay to Father Judge and hope that the church learns something from him.
You're so both and.
Well, come on. This is...
And in the end, you almost have to be about almost anything. I remember that when we had only monotherapies for HIV, a year and a half, 2 years, your new monotherapy, and then it would stop working. And luckily, about that time, a new monotherapy would come out. So, but you were 2 years at a stretch. Like, well, maybe I'll live another 18 months, 2 years. It wasn't until combination therapies that they got control of the virus. And so, yeah, this is the only way to look at a thing. It's probably not the only way to look at a thing. And sometimes the both and, what can we add to this? How many perspectives do we need to look at before we see the big picture? I think combination therapies tend to be more healing than monotherapies, whether that's medicine or sociology or religion or anything. That I think we've learned the value of combination therapies. Well, that's today with the Queer God Squad. We want to thank you for joining us. We are here daily at 3 p.m. to have some fun and to discuss what our LGBTQ plus community is talking about.
Sunshine Cathedral is the world's largest progressive queer church. Progressive, queer, and God are words that naturally should go together. And we are all in this together. Remember that.
You are God's miracle, not God's mistake. Until the next time, we are the Queer God Squad. Goodbye.